Oh. Alex, I think you may need to unmute Mr. Barkham.
It says mute.
It's unmuted now.
We're good to go, Larry.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I didn't know if you could hear me or not. Okay, to order. The first thing will be the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't see a flag, but we all know.
Bruce has got it.
Yeah, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to
to the republic which stands
one
Nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice
for all. Thank you.
Always got to be ready.
Do you need to call the roll, Megan?
Yes. Mr. Barcombe,
Here.
Mrs. Boyes. Here. Giroux,
Here.
Mr. Gladding, Mrs. Gagnon-Horn, Mr. Harriman. Mr. Harriman.
He's muted.
Donald, I'm sorry, Mrs. LaRock,
Here.
Mr. Mullaney.
He's muted.
Mr. Mullaney. Mr. Marin.
He's muted too. I said here.
Mr. McCabe.
Here.
Mr. Murdoch. Mr. Murdoch.
Here.
Mrs. Saunders. I think we should say it. It's being recorded.
Okay, here.
Thank you. Mr. Spilling. Mr. St. Pierre.
Here.
Mr. Thurber.
Here.
Thank you. We have 13 board members present.
No, thank you, Megan.
You're welcome.
So just one update, and Mr. St. Pierre, Mr. Gladding has tried to join the meeting, but he said it looks like he might be doing it through his phone. He said he needs attendee number in addition to the 471968237. Just give us 1 minute here as what Mr. Gladding.
Does someone have his number? Oh, you're sending it to him, Mark?
Alex, do you want me to send him something?
I will send it to Alex right now. I'm just not going to say it out loud. I'll send it to him.
Okay.
But can he get in touch with Mr. Gladding?
Can I send him an email? Like, does that work?
Can you send him a text?
Well, he would need the number.
Hang
And
on just a second.
just text to us, and I can text to Alex.
I'll just send it to Alex. Give me 1 second here, everybody. Sorry.
I sent it to Alex and Teams.
And what is he looking for again? Just the password?
He said he's. And 1 second. He said he had his attendee, his number, in addition to he said he could hear us, but we couldn't hear him. Give us 1 second here as we're working out this detail. Alex, should we move forward and have you just help him join?
That's up to you. I gotta look up I don't know what the password is off the top of my head. It's self-generated, not like.
Okay. So while you're doing that, why don't we move forward with our executive session? So, Mr. Barkham, would you please read the board president's role?
We did the roll call members, introduction of all and present. We don't need to do that, I don't believe. We know everybody's on the screen. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. We do need a motion to go in executive session, Mark. Am I correct?
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Mrs. LaRock seconds.
Rick Harriman made the motion.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I believe, if I'm correct, Megan, you wanted us to raise our hands instead of just saying your name. Am I correct?
I'm good
Aye.
with the name. If I can hear your name and everybody's aye, I'm good with that. You can raise your hand also.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And President
Aye.
Barkham, if I could
Yes.
add the reasons why I'm requesting executive session.
Yes.
Do with a number 4, a matter of proposed pending or current litigation, matter of collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law. Number 6, a matter of medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or a corporation. And number 8, the sale, proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of property.
Thank you. Okay. We're in executive session then. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay. So I think we're good. Megan, you want me to text you when we're done, Megan?
Yes.
Great. And Alex will do the same. Okay, great. So Jackie should be joining us momentarily, but we are going to ask Terry and Eric to stay as well. Thank you.
Alex, if you maybe can't hear me now.
No, we can.
Alex, I hear Mark talking, but I lost all my pictures.
Give us 1 second here.
Yeah, I'll connect to the computer and.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark,
Yes.
we're going to have to be done by 7:30, correct, or not?
Yes, we will. So we can, at least for the executive session, we will.
Right.
So let's move forward. And I think most of this Alex could hear, if we're okay with that. And Alex is stepping out. So the first item, and I did send a brief executive session agenda that was sent in by email. And Jackie had been slated to be here, but we can move forward. We did confer with her, Mr. Bell and I did have a conversation today with her, but we'll just start and talk about it. So the first item is
Does Megan know to come back in?
We need to, Mark.
I called her.
we need to have Megan come back in for just a minute here, please.
I asked her to, I said, we're done.
Actually, for more than a minute, but.
I move to end the meeting.
Nice try, Don.
I'm going to call Megan.
Oh, Megan's back now. Thank you.
There
Megan.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
And
Good.
Yes.
Never know when I'm on and not on here. Is everybody in the room? Megan, yeah, she's there. You need to call the roll. The reading of the notice. Do we have somebody on now, Mark, that we did not have on a while ago?
Here we have Michelle.
Oh, hi, Michelle.
You got Michelle and
Matt
Matt.
Flattery.
Hi, everybody.
Hey,
There's Matt. No?
okay.
I think for the record, we can say that Mr. Spilling has joined the meeting, and I'll get the time later on from the recording. And also, I believe Mr. Gladding is on via phone.
Correct.
Here.
Thank you.
And I did find a way to unmute him as well.
you're correct, Mrs.
Okay. Megan, do you need to read the notice?
Yes, please. The purpose of the meeting is to present the tentative administrative capital and program budgets of Champlain Valley Educational Services for 2021 in advance of the vote on the tentative administrative budget in individual component districts on April 23rd, 2020.
Thank you. You need to elect a chairperson for the meeting?
I nominate Mitch.
I second that nomination.
Thank you. Any other nominations? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. You hear me? Yes. Okay. And that having been said, then I turn the meeting over to Dr. Davy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. St. Pierre. For the first item, we have a review of our 2021 CVES budget, and we have a short video. I think it's about 10 minutes. So we're going to just run that. I think Mr. St. Pierre is ready to run that.
Mark Davies, the district superintendent for Champlain Valley Educational Services. I'm here to present to you, along with my colleague, Mr. Eric Bell.
We lost audio.
Can anyone hear the video?
Yeah, I got it.
So in a final summary, I want to thank Mr. Bell and our board for allowing us to do this presentation. A little bit different approach this year, but we were able to successfully pass through our entire budget presentation. And I do want to thank our administrative team who helped with all of our presentation and helping put that together, as well as our communications department. Does the board have any questions at this time? It doesn't look like so. So let's move forward. And the second part, with Mr. Barkham's permission, we'll move forward with our CVES report card information. So Alex, can you help us load that, please?
Just so everyone knows, for the board, the budget presentation, I muted everyone, so, except I see a couple people unmuted anyway, but just so you know that. So I may have to unmute you if you want to talk, or unmute yourself.
Okay, so thank you, Terry. For our board, for our 18-19 BOCES report card as part of our annual meeting, we'll just be showing a brief summary of our various activities throughout the year, and I want to thank all of our presenters in advance for their participation. We will have Mr. Eric Bell, who assisted us with the budget presentation, Terry Calabrese-Gray for our instructional services report card, Mr. Matthew Slattery for our special education report card, and Ms. Michelle Friedman, our technical education director for the CV Tech report card. And then we'll have a brief opportunity for questions and answer. So let's move forward, please. So Alex, go ahead. So we'll start off, and this is just a brief review of our CVS mission statement, our vision statement, and our core beliefs. As you know, that this is a summary of our strategic plan, efforts, and focus as we have moved forward. And with that being said, our strategic plan 7th annual survey actually started today. So we're very excited about that. But again, our mission statement, our vision statement, and our core beliefs, which have guided our practices and continue to do so as we move forward. Mr. St. Pierre.
I did pass controls to you.
Okay. There we go. Okay. So Alex, just having one issue to move.
Can you do your arrow on your keyboard to advance?
Yes, I have done that. I apologize.
Oh, it's not working?
It wasn't working.
Okay.
Terry, it says you're the host right now.
Okay, there we go. Just a reminder that our CVES campuses include, as shown on your screen, our Plattsburgh, Maine, our Mineville campus, our One Work Source, instructional services, and our satellite campus, as well as our special education campus on the Plattsburgh, Maine campus as well. So in more typical days, but we're looking forward to returning to those as we move forward. Go ahead, Terry. Thank you. So just a brief highlight from our 18-19 strategic plan highlights, and this is a review. The board is very familiar with our successes, which we had, and we're very pleased. Most importantly, or very importantly, we had our capital project vote, which was successful. We had almost 2,000 voters, and we had a 72% success rate. So we were very pleased with that, and that process has continued to move forward. Our CEWW Health Insurance Consortium website was launched, along with other various initiatives to improve communication. As a CVS initiative, which came through our strategic plan, we have continued to focus on improving our workplace climate for students and staff, and including focusing on bullying and harassment to make continual improvements as we move forward with our staff and our work together and support for each other. As well, last year as district superintendent, I was very fortunate to work with two outstanding school districts, the Elizabethtown Lewis and Westport school districts, which had a successful merger effort, the first one in numerous years across the state. And now where Mr. Spilling is our board member representative representing the Boquet Valley Central School District. We also conducted, and as part with the assistance of a very capable staff, Mrs. Jackstat, multiple superintendent searches for our component districts. CV Tech launched Connections and a Ground School for Pilots program. Special education focused on multiple areas, and one of their highest areas of success was their out-of-school suspension rate was down by 57%. And as a CVS-wide initiative, we focused on social, emotional, and mental health and training, not only for special education staff, but for all staff, really making it a focus along with our bullying and harassment efforts to improve the climate and workplace undertaken. So let's move forward. I'm going to turn the slide over to our Assistant Superintendent for Instruction in 21st Century Learning, Carrie Calabrese-Gray.
Okay. Good evening. Take control. That might not be good. Okay. So Instructional Services Center, just a few pictures highlighting the various activities we engage in each year. Some of those we won't be engaging in, unfortunately, this year, but we'll think of things to do in a different way. We have some exciting things coming out next week. Okay. So just to see, I don't know why I got stuff popping up on my screen. So for professional development, just wanted to highlight some of the new things that we're doing with science and the new science standards. So there's a big push around 3D learning. We revisited with our district some areas that really wanted to focus on some key components that we actually had training on probably 10 years ago. And we actually are revisiting co-teaching across our districts because people were saying we're co-teaching, but we were saying not so sure that's true co-teaching. So we wanted to revisit and reinforce what that is. And also we've changed over in staff. So teaching new teachers across the region how to work together and in a co-teaching model. So that was important. We spent a lot of time on the PBIS framework and bringing that back for several of our districts and really helping them focus their work moving forward. Continuing, a couple of other things, we are continuing the whole piece with the gender identity, the sexuality in schools. Again, it's just an area that keeps, there's new vocabulary, new different types of sexuality. So we're really trying to address those across all our schools and make sure that they have a forum and they are able to identify without any repercussions. Also, we brought in some national presenters about giving students voice, and we find that's very important with students. They are truly amazing and will amaze us each and every day with what they'll come up with. And actually, at the same time, they're learning a lot deeper than what they would be learning if we were just teaching them to take a multiple choice test. So those are some areas that we worked on as well this year. You can just see from the charts, and I'm not going to go through, but those were our professional development offerings, doing the comparison from year to year. And then also you'll see it's by participation. And I'm not going to read all these, but as Eric said in his video so eloquently about bringing in an assigner, so that was very important for us. So starting July 2020, there is a 4-year contract, which does include the hiring of an assigner. That the section used to hire an assigner for every individual sport. So this is going to streamline it and also consolidate it. So that's news for everyone. Just highlighting things that our communications department does each and every day. They are constantly busy supporting us as well as our districts. Shelley Manchester supports 6 component school districts for us, and she handles a lot of money. So that is good for our schools to maximize every dollar that they get to make sure they're providing the quality programs that they're providing. So you can read through those. Health, safety, risk management, just again, things that we do to try and change it up and involve our students at the same time. And really it's all about, if you ask Justin, it's about making the world a better place. And that's what he does each and every day. Amanda Zulo for our instructional planning and assessment. She's been a great addition, and she has been working really hard with our districts on data analysis, data reporting, supporting anybody who has to do accountability and plans for SED. So that's been awesome to work with. School library system, Suzanne Ford Krogan brings in a lot of great presenters and really talks about maximizing your library media specialist in your schools because they can support a lot of what they're doing. So she does a lot of great PD around that. So now I'm going to hand it off to Matt Slattery for special education.
Terry, can you unmute Matt? Mr. Slattery, I think you need to unmute yourself.
Alex, do you have control or do I have control? Trying to find Matt in the list. I see Michelle.
I think you're the host. Can you unmute?
There you go. You're good, Matt.
Oh, thank you, Terry. Yeah, for some
Sorry.
reason. No, it's okay. The microphone wasn't there. Good evening, everyone. And for this presentation, looks like I have my son heading up the stairs down in my home basement here. But I have some highlights from the special ed division. I'm not going to read every slide here, but it's kind of capturing the essence of the major points. So with that, the first thing I want to, there we go, talk about and highlight is our transition planning. And I will say, as an organization, we have one of the best in terms of services that we offer for students when it comes to transition planning and coordination. We created an intentional shift to our model like 2 years ago. So now we have a staff member that specializes in transition planning and coordination. That staff member is our coordinator, Tanya Robinson. Being able to specialize means that she creates and has all the connections to outside agencies and community resources. Her job is to really act as a guide and to listen to parents and students and help them attain their post-school goals and guide them along the way. Up next, we have our...
It's awesome.
Well, maybe from your your lens, Terry. Yeah, that's my 8-year-old. Okay, high quality IEPs. So the IEP, the Individualized Education Plan, is really the cornerstone of a quality education for each child with a disability. So as an organization, it's very, very important to us that we invest and support our teachers and related service providers in developing high-quality IEPs for success. We support these professionals through PD workshops and opportunities throughout the school year, and by also providing feedback with a consistent quality assurance review process. Now, our next area to highlight multi-year plans. We're working really hard to become a trauma-transformed school community. We've invested in a partnership with Dave Melnick, who's right out of Vermont, across the lake, and really is a national-level presenter when it comes to trauma-informed best practices. As a result of that, we've invested in our staff and professional development opportunities that are best practices in this realm, whether it's TCI, therapeutic crisis interventions, which really is our foundation as an organization, or mindfulness or restorative justice. And the results of these investments have really paid dividends. Dr. Davies mentioned it at the beginning of this program. When you look at our school disciplinary data, our behavior management data over the past 2 years, you'll see a significant decrease and reduction. We want that trend to continue over the next 2 or 3 years. And finally, I want to end with our high-quality student programs that we're offering to the region. We have 4 or 5 different lanes for programs. We've seen an increase in enrollment, whether it's the middle of the year. This year in particular, in the middle of the year, we've seen an uptake in just about all of our programs. When we're talking about programs, I want to say that we do have some waiting lists for grade-specific spans. Just about all of our programs are full, and our professional staff continue to do an excellent job. Before this pandemic hit and really changed our world, we are looking at certain programs and extending and growing those to fit the needs of our region over the next 3 years. The other slides include data that from our report card, whether it's 3-3 assessments, Regents exams, or alternate assessments. And that concludes the special ed division highlight. I'd like to turn over the proverbial microphone to our Director of CV Tech, Mrs. Michelle Friedman.
Thank you, Matt. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see you all. This portion of the presentation is our 18-19 report card data, just some quantitative analysis of our student progress. Let me just make seem to advance the
Mrs. Friedman, you're muted again. Is it having difficulty advancing?
Yeah, I'm having when I hit the keyboard, it mutes my microphone, which is interesting. So I just need to, here we go. Is there a little bit of a delay? Okay, there we are. Thank you for your patience, everyone. It worked in rehearsal yesterday. So what you see here are some of the quantitative slides that pertain to the 18-19 CV Tech report card. As you all know, our mission is to provide high quality career and technical education for students and our community members in Clinton and Essex County predominantly. What you'll see here is pertaining to our CTE programs of study, where we have last year 96% of students achieving a 75% or greater average. And that is their 80-week average at proficient or higher. So we do see that remaining pretty much steady over the course of the last 6 years that are presented on your screen. In addition, we have been tracking the national assessment pass rate. Last year, we had 66% of our students who were completing their program of study hit the national targets and the New York State cut scores on their aligned national assessment exam. And that is, if I may say, those numbers are the average of all of our students who are taking the test. In our health careers, we often have 100%, in our CNA and so on and so forth. So that range does capture all of our students who sit for any of the national exams aligned with their programs of study. We're also seeing that 93% of our graduates last year earned a high school diploma. We did look into the difference from the previous year to this year, and we did have a larger percentage of students who were continuing their education under IDEA and had access to education until they were 21. So they were not necessarily graduating with their cohort. So that did allow our number to decrease a little bit from the previous year to the year that we're reporting. We're very pleased to say that last year 83 students received the Advanced Regents designation on their Regents diploma because of their successful completion of the New York State program of CTE program of study, along with the successful capture of their 3-part technical assessment, which includes their written component, their performance component, and their portfolio component. The next slide just kind of gives you an indication of the numbers. We do offer 23 different career and technical education programs, some duplicate on several campuses. We had 680 students that were enrolled through the course of the 18-19 school year, 80 of them being post-secondary. And that 600 is actually 30% of all available juniors and seniors from our component districts. And these numbers are also depicted in subsequent slides. It's interesting to note that 30% is a really healthy number. And you can see that we basically bounce between 29 and 30%, which is very good. But we do have some of our neighboring BOCES who are able to capture as high as 52% of their available, I know, right, Donna? Of their available juniors and seniors. So we're constantly collaborating to see what they're doing differently, what their recruitment mechanisms are, what programs they're offering. I'd love to see us at 52%, but we are pleased that we are at least holding steady. But again, as I've mentioned before in previous discussions, that 30% can be deceptive in that the overall available number has steadily decreased over the years. So although we still have 30%, we have fewer students. This just gives you an indication. We do all of our graduate follow-ups, and we continue to track over the course of 5 years after they leave us. But we are very pleased to show that 97% of our students are either continuing their education or they're employed. And you can see the breakdown over the last few years as far as which area they were reporting. And some of them are in both categories. But it's nice to see that 97% of our students are in either or. Our 5-year results are showing basically the same trend that we're showing over the course of 5 years. We have 51% of our graduates employed and 47 still continuing their education. So those are excellent numbers. We're proud of those numbers. We also offer in our 411 coaster, our online high school. There's 2 slides because there's so many courses now that we've been asked to offer. But we do have 12 districts that participate in this particular coaster, and the screen in front of you shows the different coursework that have been accessed through this particular coaster. And usually these courses are utilized for credit recovery, or if students are in a home-based instruction type of situation. And those are, per student subscriptions. In addition to our CTE programming, we offer a very healthy adult literacy and high school equivalency diploma training through our One WorkSource services and under Kathy Snow's leadership. We had 322 students last year in adult literacy and high school equivalency training. These are students that you don't really see. You don't see them necessarily. They come in and they work at the levels that where they're starting, and some students are with us for a few months and earn their high school equivalency, and some are with us for years. And just a note, as you can see the diversity on this screen, as we're working through this very unique situation in education right now, or in the world in general, this particular component of CV Tech, the staff there have just enrolled 31 additional students since we went to a full online platform. So there's still a lot of need. We're still addressing the need in our community. And I think finally, my last slide for our division is our adult and continuing education classes. Last year we serviced 134 adults in a multitude of programs, from CNA to our ground school. You'll notice typically we have some CDL students on here. We have usually have some welding students. There are fluctuations in need and fluctuations in interest. But this was the breakdown of our participants for last year, and we look very much forward to growing this component of the division. And I think that will do it for CV Tech. Yes? I seem to have lost control of the screen.
Alex probably took it back.
Okay. So thank you all, and I didn't know if you had any questions or anything, but it's pretty straightforward.
Michelle?
Yes.
If I may. I don't know if it's the right time to ask this question, but with regard to the fact that they have our Regents exams, and I also noticed that there was some question as to how they were going to determine whether someone was entitled to the CTE enhancement. Do we have a plan to address that?
Well, interestingly enough, thank you for your question. We got our guidance yesterday from the State Education Department. Dr. Davey discussed it with us in Cabinet, There is some guidance. It's very loose guidance right now, and I know there's a lot of discussion with our DSs and some of the other state ed leadership as to how we can have a little bit more formalized recommendations as to how that local decision can be made. So right now, the way the regulations or the guidance is coming out is that students can still earn that endorsement, and that it is going to be a local decision as to how we determine that. And what I can tell you is that actually I have a call tomorrow with our state liaisons to have a conversation about how we can come to some agreements as to which direction we're all going to go in, so that we're all not all over the place. But we're looking forward to those discussions. It was hot off the press yesterday, but I'm grateful that our students will still have that opportunity, and we'll make sure that they get it.
Very good. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Friedman. And I'll just share with you that as part of one of the documents that was sent out, and again, the announcement regarding the cancellation of Regents exams was made on Monday at the Board of Regents meeting, with the indication that additional information would be coming forward. That did come out yesterday. That was forwarded to the board for your review, but there was a lot of information. On the Q&A, there was a summary memo from the commissioner as well as the Q&A. It's on page 5. There's actually 2 questions or several questions that actually deal specifically with CTE and pathways. In essence, the entire initiative as it was laid out for the cancellation of the Regents puts much of the local control in place. So it does indicate, and for example, there's a question, can a student be exempt from a graduation assessment required for the 3-part CTE, career and technical assessment, leading to the CTE plus 1 pathway? And it does indicate that students enrolled in the New York State approved CTE programs will have earned applicable program credit, who will have earned it by the end of the 1920 school year, and intend to take the CTE plus 1 pathways are exempt from assessment for graduation purposes. So there is specific language in reference to the CTE students, but again, it really boils down to local control. And the feedback that has been shared with not only are the district superintendents, but also our superintendents, is that we need to be able to justify ultimately to our board and the parents of why the decisions that are being made. But it does put much of the responsibility on our superintendents and the boards to make sure that the local standards are followed through. But there have been discussions, however, I will share with you, Mr. McCabe, and the entire board. There are certain indications for program, and Mrs. Friedman and I and our cabinet have talked about this. For example, certain programs do require a certain amount of seat time. For example, cosmetology needs a certain amount of time where they're actually cutting hair and doing their actual skills in place. We will have to look at how we can help all of our students meet their requirements and be able to take those assessments, which are normally part of their program. So I think there will be some application parts that we'll have to address. And Mrs. Smith, we've discussed that briefly, but it's going to evolve. Much as this has come forward, we're now going to have to make it applicable to our students and make sure that we do them justice, as well as give due diligence to all of our students to make sure that we can help them complete their program.
I understand.
Are there other questions from the board? Mr. Marin?
Yes. So the 30% average of enrollment, is there a significant difference between, so we have 3 schools that are larger that tend to be able to overhead to cover more certain things that other smaller schools can't, right? Is there a significant difference in enrollment from those 3 to everybody else? Have you noticed that at all? Michelle?
I will share a little bit, and then I'll turn it to ask Mrs. Friedman to help respond. As we look at our 16 school districts, and there's 15 because Putnam actually is part of the Ticonderoga School District, but with our average of students for the juniors and seniors, there is some variability. Some districts have between 40 and 50% of their students which participate, and other districts have a smaller percent than the 30%. When we look across the entire board, we're on average about 30% of our juniors and seniors that participate for education. And Mrs. Friedman, I'll just ask you to just weigh in with me too here.
Yeah, I didn't know if it had anything to do with the size of school.
We have the numbers for each of our component districts, and we do not see any correlation as to what you're proposing. We have larger school districts with sending rates of about 15%. We have smaller school districts with sending rates of 60% sometimes when they have a class of 8. So we see what it boils down to is access, and sometimes we have school districts that allow all students to the opportunity to tour and come in and look for themselves and with their parents. And other school districts make the decision as to who gets to come and tour. So it really doesn't have any correlation between what is offered or how large the district. It really boils down to how much access each individual district commits itself to.
Ed, just to give you an example, last year graduating class was 50% of the seniors that attended BOCES, and we're a school. That just gives you an idea. It's going to vary. Both different.
We have all that information for you. If Dr. Davy, I could provide that, and send that per district as far as, with whatever Dr. Davy would like. But we don't like to do that because we don't want to make assumptions. We put them together. We look at our school districts as a whole, and the pool of students as a whole.
And the other piece I'd like to add, Mr. Marin, an excellent question, is that with the enrollment averaging, which we've moved to, that has allowed districts to be able to, when they had an enrollment blip, for example, last year, one of our districts had a significant increase. They had almost 10 more students than normal due to some particular programs, and they were very clear without the enrollment averaging, where that was averaged over 5 years, they would not have been able to afford that significant increase. If you look at it, their actual cost only went up approximately 2 students. So that's how that has been very helpful. And I believe it will also help really calm down the peaks and valleys, so to speak, with more of an average. So thankful for our superintendents and Mr. Friedman and our team for being able to help put that in place. And I know Mr. Bell was part of that as well. But we believe that's going to assist in helping promote student districts to be able to have their students attend and to really cost average out their participation. Are there any other questions for Mrs. Friedman or any of our other presenters?
There's no more questions, and I'm going to call for a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Here we go. Back to you, Larry. Larry's muted right now.
Hey, Alex, just a note, I'm only seeing about 5 or 6 people.
Oh,
You may need to go back to your grid view up on the top right.
I'm in grid view. Now they're beginning to come back.
Right, they
Keep
might.
your eyes closed.
Larry, you're good to go.
I'm good to go. Thank you. Thank you all for your participation in that report. We will be voting on that towards the end of the meeting, accepting their report. Mark, can I get on the capital update? We've already done that, really, but can you hear me, Mark?
Yes, you can, Mr. Barco.
Okay. Capital project update, engineer, we already reviewed it.
Sure, we can just provide a brief update for the public as well, and I may ask Mr. Bell to weigh in.
Okay.
In essence, and one of the most important aspects has been with the governor's executive order, construction across New York State was stopped, except for essential businesses. And in this case, under the New York and the Empire Development Corporation, I believe, Mr. Bell, actually helped the state issue some guidelines, and schools are considered a government agency. So we do have the ability, as under the governor's executive order, to, if there's health and safety determinations, to continue to move forward with those types of projects. So I will just give Mr. Bell the opportunity to provide a brief update on this for us. Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Yes, no problem. Thank you. So I'll start with our waterline project. We have submitted that to SED, and then we have subsequently received approval. That is our water line at the Plattsburgh main campus, as well as the doors of the CV Tech portion of that main campus. We received approval on March 20th. During this New York on pause situation, you can see we've been pushing some important deadlines that'll be kind of the subject of this conversation, some approvals that we've received. So that we did receive on March 20th. We are weighing the current bid environment to bid that project and working closely with the town of Plattsburgh because of the water line connecting to the town of Plattsburgh water supply. We have clear expectations from them, as well as some off-the-record agreements in place to help us move forward so we can expedite the permitting process with that. As we analyze the bid environment, one of our key dates is we want to go to the board in June to award that contract for the work. That way, the 1920 capital project funds that are budgeted for can be encumbered at that time. Very good news on our waterline project. And now moving to our $30 million, or almost just under $30 million capital project, voter approved project. March 27th, we had some awesome news that our wetland mitigation plan was approved. So some very exciting news there. That was multiple months in process. The board at the last meeting did approve payment to Ducks Unlimited for that wetland mitigation. So we've already engaged discussions with Ducks Unlimited to complete the transaction and fulfill our requirement of the permit. That is for the new access, entry and exit at our Plattsburgh main campus. Also, as part of that and the new entry exit at our satellite campus, we had to get a permit from DEC for stormwater pollution. So we submitted a SWIP plan, a stormwater pollution prevention plan to DEC. We received our permit on April 1st, our approval on our permit April 1st. So that way we can now proceed with that work. One part of this, with getting the wetland approval on March 27th, you may recall our previous 6 meetings, it feels like. We've discussed bats and dropping trees at our main campus. So Real Construction is our site contractor. They've been great to work with so far. They're out of Ticonderoga School District, Mr. Gladding, and they've been phenomenal. So as soon as we got that permit in hand, the next day Real was on site dropping trees. So that way we could beat the requirement of April 1st. Between the dates of April 1 and November, we cannot be dropping trees. So they were on site immediately. They were prepped and ready to go, and they responded with quick action. So you will see, if you go by our main campus, some trees that are down. We could not do further work until we had the stormwater pollution permit in hand, which we now have as well as of April 1st. Tetra Tech's been receiving and reviewing submittals from construction. All 6 of our prime contractors have been putting in their submittals for review. Our roofing contractor, A.W. Farrell, has gotten in a majority and almost all of their submittals, and we've received a large shipment of material already on site. So our roofing contractor is ready to go and proceed with work. And then also our satellite campus was scheduled for an April 1 start of construction. As Dr. Davey referenced, there have been some hangups with construction due to the governor's executive order. So Mr. McCartney worked very closely with Jerry Brooks, our director of facilities, and we all know Jim McCartney, our principal of the satellite campus, worked very closely together to clear out our south hangar at our satellite campus in order for construction to start. We are actually very close to cleaned out of that space and put items into storage in a well-organized manner. And kudos to Mr. McCartney for being a leader on that project and the excellent work that he did. And oftentimes he was hands-on with it as well. So moving forward with our capital project, our big focus is getting submittals in. Majority of our work was planned for when school was out. So school out for us, a majority of our students are out for Regents, when Regents was existing at the time. So around the June 15th timeframe, the majority of our construction was planned to start. Some of our off jobs, such as the satellite campus work is on hold at the moment as we work with legal counsel on proceeding with any essential portions of our project. So that's what I had for an update, Dr. Davey.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bell. And I want to thank our team, Mr. McCartney as well, Mr. Brooks, and all of our O&M staff who have also been continuing on a rotational basis to help make updates and work on cleaning our campuses during these unusual times. So thank you, Mr. Bell, for your team and our staff as well for our capital.
Eric, is that water line project going to be able to be deemed essential?
Mr.
That will be in discussions with legal counsel for us. Right now, based on the timing of it, we're looking at it over the summer. We are unsure even if it would need to be. So if the executive order still exists at that time, we would make a determination on whether it's essential or not. So there's potential that in July and August, when we are hoping for construction, there may not need to be that designation, Mr. Harriman. So we are currently not making that determination.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for our capital project update? Okay, thank you, everyone. Mr. Barkham.
Thank you. I would like a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
Motion.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns about the minutes? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Thank you. The consent agenda, number 8, we'll be voting on 8A through G.
Motion approved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, any questions?
Sorry, there's a lot of people. Can we please say your name when you motion or second, please?
Linda motioned and Donna seconded.
Thank you so much.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Thank you. Under old business, there's nothing this month. We do have an agenda for personnel. Personnel will be A through K. Correct?
Motion's Bruce Murdoch.
Second, Rick
Second.
Harriman.
Is there any questions or concerns about that one? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carrie, thank you. Now, if I'm correct, Megan, you keep me on track here. The next two, number 11.
President Barkham,
Yes?
could I just add one additional item regarding our personnel agenda that was just approved? And that is, I'd like to acknowledge that we had a resignation for the purposes of retirement for Ms. White Schmidt, one of our teachers. We wish her well with that approval, but I'd like to just acknowledge that she's been with us since 2000 in a variety of areas. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enclosure 20 and 21. Megan, if I'm correct, the report card should have been 21. And the legal value resolution should have been 20. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just those numbers will be reversed.
This is Linda, motion to approve.
Thank you.
Rock, second.
Any questions or anything? It was number 11. Services. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That's also carried. We have no new business. Mark, you got something on a strategic plan update?
I'm sorry, you missed one. You just did the lead evaluator certification. We need to do, the CVE card.
Okay, I was taking them together. That's fine, thank you.
This is Linda. Motion to approve the report card, please. Donna Laurent, second.
We're doing the report card again? I thought we proved that.
Nope, you did
No, we
the
put
lead
the lead
evaluator.
evaluator.
Everybody's talking at once. I can't hear everybody. You can go ahead, please.
You approved the lead evaluator. We need to approve the CVES report card.
Okay, thank you. Which will be number 21, I believe, right?
Yeah, and you have a motion and a second.
Oh, okay, thank you. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's also carried. Okay. There's no new business under 12A, 13. Do you have anything under strategic plan?
Yes, President Markham, thank you. Just a brief update, and as indicated in your recent transmittal, today our CVES 7th annual survey for the strategic plan climate assessment was initiated. We sent out a reminder to our staff previous to that, and so that survey will be online while our staff are conducting and working from home. But many of them do have and are regularly checking their email. So we are hopeful that we will have strong participation for that this year. But with that being said, that will continue until the 22nd of April. We will plan on presenting that information for the strategic plan survey in a board meeting. President Barkham.
Okay, thank you. Is that all you have, Mark?
Under the next item, I do have a few items for our district superintendent update.
Okay, go ahead.
So with that, just a couple of items. I did send out the district superintendent's update agenda. The first item was ongoing COVID-19 updates. As the board is aware, our school closures have been extended by the governor. Now are working at the direction of the governor. That's until April 29th. And we will be awaiting further determinations following that. I want to commend our superintendents for their continued work. We do meet almost daily on our daily WebEx, and we have been discussing the various implications of the governor's executive orders. Today we were discussing the region's implications and regulations and what it meant, as well as other important issues that are affecting all of our districts. So my hat goes off to not only our superintendents who have helped develop plans many times over weekends to be able to meet the state's requirements, and then working with their staff to implement feeding plans, to implement continuity of instruction and learning plans, as well as to work with our partners in the community for childcare, which are three areas that the governor has said. There's the learning, there's the childcare, and there's also the nutrition. And we've delivered, and our component districts have delivered thousands and thousands. So I want to commend them all continue to work. I'd also like to just acknowledge that we continue to have close working relationships and partnership with local government, our Clinton County and Essex County, as well as the Departments of Health. We've had regular updates for that. I've been forwarding many of those items on to the board. We've continued, and Terry Calabrese-Gray has been our point person with our child care providers, with the Child Care Council here in Plattsburgh, the YMCA, the United Way, and ACAP in Essex County. Our hat goes off to all of our those individuals who've been working with us to make sure, as part of our plans, that we provide important child care for our healthcare providers and our first responders. Those have been requirements by the governor. So kudos to all of our partners, as well as everyone who's been really pulling together throughout the North Country to make this happen. Next, the continuing response. I just want to again acknowledge our staff across our entire BOCES. They've all been stepping forward and doing a tremendous job. Mrs. Friedman, you've traditionally said they've been amazing. And I think we can really say that about our staff. Mr. Slatter, you've acknowledged the same thing. Terry, your staff have stepped forward, and Mr. Bell, our O&M staff, and all of our food programs we've been delivering. We've been working in partnership with our component districts. People have been stepping forward. This has not been a traditional closure. This has been a working closure, and people have been performing above and beyond when they've ever performed before in the most challenging circumstances and working out of their comfort zone. So I want to thank them, and I want to thank all of our leaders and our administrators and our supervisors for helping set the bar high. With that being said, we'll just move forward. We did acknowledge that there has been a cancellation of the Regents exams. The Regents exams started in the 1860s, and to my knowledge, there has never been a closure, an entire closure of all the Regents exams. So with that being said, it's unprecedented. The Board of Regents did act on that, and the guidance came out yesterday. So we are moving forward. There is much local control that falls now to the superintendents and the high school principals and the component school districts. We mentioned also earlier that the school board elections have been postponed this year, at least until June 1st. And we also have on the sheet that's the SOCI deadlines. That's the statement of continued eligibility for special ed certification has been extended an entire year. There is an initiative also about APPR, but that is under the control of the governor, and that will have to be worked on through the governor, and because it is in law. So there will be more information coming forward about APPR. Lastly, I'd just like to acknowledge, and it's with sincere sympathy or at least regret that I share due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have begun canceling some of the traditional events that our students look forward to. We recently worked with the superintendents to cancel the Clinton County Top 10% dinner. Canceled. It was scheduled for the beginning of May. And as well with Mrs. Friedman and Dr. Stay, our NTHS, the NTHS ceremonies, the National Technical Honor Society ceremonies scheduled for May as well have been canceled. Those were done in consultation with our health department, and we could say again, the indication in the governor's orders have been there can't be large-scale gatherings, and it's really done to keep everyone safe. So we are saddened by those, but the priority of keeping everyone safe is a priority. So we thank the board and all of our administrators and our staff for understanding, and our students, because this is something that many of them look forward to, and it's part of our normal ceremonies. So with that being said, are there any questions at all for my superintendent's update?
Dr. Davey, you didn't mention it, but again, we are needing everyone to fill out the census. I'm wondering if you are stressing that to our superintendents, that it's vital. I know it's not on everybody's docket right now, but it's very, very important that we do not miss getting people counted, because we will pay for it in the long run.
Mrs. Muscagna-Horn, excellent point. Yes, we have continued to stress that with our superintendents. I will say, unfortunately, I think much of their focus has been on the COVID-19 response. However, we have both communicated resources as well as the encouragement for our communities to participate and complete those. I think that will also be something we'll continue to move forward with and focus to encourage as we move forward in the next month.
Thank you.
Dr. Davey, are you going to address the meeting schedule for 2021 in terms of November, as that falls on a holiday, so that we can approve the schedule next month?
Sure, Ms. Rabidou, thank you. That was an item in our board transmittal as well. If you recall, during the month of November in our upcoming school year, traditionally we have our meetings on the second Wednesday of the month. In next November, Election Day, or actually it's Veterans Day, excuse me, it falls on a Wednesday. So we're scheduled to have, it's a national holiday on that day. So the proposal that was shared was that we suggested moving our BOCES board meeting to the Thursday the next day. I'm not sure if that would be an inconvenience or a hardship for anyone. Traditionally, we look at the second Wednesday or the third Thursday, but in this case, we were recommending a one-day movement of that potential date, and didn't know if that would be a concern for any board members at this time.
That would not be a good day for me. This is Linda.
I usually have a planning board meeting on that, but sometimes we don't have them. I mean, it's.
Okay, are there other, so as we look at the potential dates, and we look at, instead of, it would be that November 11th is a Wednesday, so that's actually Veterans Day. The 12th would be the next day that we just heard two potential concerns. The following option, the other option would be the third Thursday, which would be the 19th. Which is generally our alternate board date, when the second Wednesday or the third Thursday when we needed a makeup. Would the third Thursday be a problem for anyone? It would be the 19th of November.
It may possibly be, because our meetings are on the fourth Thursday, which is Thanksgiving, so it usually gets bumped back to the previous Thursday. Not sure that that's going to happen.
Could we try for the Tuesday, the 10th, the day before our regular board meeting?
Oh, Terry saying
For me, it would definitely be better.
That's my town board meeting. We're not gonna get everybody to come to a meeting. We're very lucky tonight to have 15 people listening in. I guess we gotta go with the best alternate, whatever it can be.
Well, just wondering, would the 17th, the Tuesday, or Wednesday, the 18th, the following week, would either of those present a problem for someone if we did propose, for example, Wednesday, the 18th? The third Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday would be fine for me.
Wednesday, 18th.
Wednesday, the 18th.
I'm okay with any of them.
Wednesdays are good because usually more other school boards work around the Wednesdays that we have BOCES stuff, right? Right.
So would Wednesday, the 18th look like it's okay? Mr. Maron, did you say yes or no on that? Yes. Okay. Mrs. Rabideau, it looks like Wednesday, the 18th could be a selected date for a board.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That's it for the board update. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Our next meeting is Wednesday, May 13th in Mineville, 6:30. You do have your report from your directors in close to 22. Please read those.
And I'd move to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn in a second today.
Rick Harriman.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Thank you all. See you next month.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay,
Good night,
thank you.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Stay healthy.
Travel.
Bye.
Mrs. Rabideau, Mr. Gladding said aye as well.
Okay.
Hello to everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Yep, good night.
Take care.